All right, Dominicans, we are here. I hope you guys are hearing me properly. And it's yet another Saturday evening where we're about to make another start to another very interesting and informative program right here on the Saturday Live engagement that yours truly always bring forth with you each and every Saturday. And so yes, today being the 9th of March 2024, that is where again I want to say a special greetings and welcome to all of you in the listening and viewing audience at this time. All right. How was the week so far, persons? I hope everybody was doing okay so far for the week and is doing okay so far today. All right. I know sometimes life can be very, very challenging, but that is a road that we all have to walk. All right. And so for the number of persons who are already here, let me just point some names here. Annette Mondria here, Carol Olivachi Bruni, Mali Ostri, Alan Pierre, Joan Felix Sylvester, Carla Guy, Clara Lynn Warrington, Edith John, Rita, Joseph, Oliver Esprit, Shara, Tiana Georges, good evening to you, Laurie, Xavier, Simeon, George, Ziska, Sarah, Rosa, Robinson, Judy Berry, Celia Gordon, Fifth Sunshine, Estella Labester, John Alfred, John Joseph, Margel Dura, Owen Prosper, Inez Etienne, Victor James, Dorothy Regis, Claire Prince, Bernard Ulysses, Rudolph Marie, Irresistible Cordelia, good evening to you, Pat Corbett, my brother in the north of Dominica, good evening, Conrad Vacher, Grace Rudette, you're also there, Merlin Alfred, Jacqueline Joanna James, yes, Charlene Sudin Williams, good evening to you, Maslin Edwards is locked in New Jersey, good evening as well, Dave Bertrand, Marvella Defoe, Curlin Sanders, Claudette Dura, Jennifer Defoe, Stephanie John Baptist, Rosie Mango, we also have a Margareta Joseph, Juanita Prince, Celia King, Anitha Adams Bernard, Juanita Prince, I mentioned the name already, Alista Irish, Ramona St. Rose, good evening as well, Judith Cochran and the Cochran Posse, good evening, Janice Felix, Justina James, Brother Dory Drago, Julius Sampson, we also have Augustine Frederick, Joan Talbert, Misha John, Virginia Nicholas, Billy Anthony, Clyde Gregoire, Larry Lloyd, Sherlon Giss, Adriana Franklin, Yusika Isles, Nisi Coffee, Chiquito Thomas, Theodora Anthony, Carilla Fontaine, Veronica Pascal, Rosie Felix, Holy Ghost Fire Langford, Edna Ernest, Dorian Dorival, Janice Bruno, good evening to you Janice and your folks in the Point Michelle area, Annette Mondry, Liney Andrew, Bryna Francis, Gemma Daniel, Sarah, John Jules, Christine, Nicholas, Merlin Gordon, Magali John Jules, Brother Bernard Aline, somewhere in the UK at this time, Alexander Hodge, and the list goes on and on. I'm seeing Naslin Dick, you're tuning in now, and the list goes on and on as I said indeed. Folks, it's always a pleasure, as I said, to be in your company, and so we got to take flight in just a little while. And so as I ask you now is to just share that live information as we're about to take flight, as it were, in just a bit. A very compact program awaits you. And so I ask you to make yourself very, very comfortable at this time as we're about to do justice with the conversations that we will be having in just a bit. You may be seeing something in my background a little different tonight. And so I want to thank my boy, Mr. Jonathan Dura, for getting me this lovely, iconic poster in the back. And so Jonathan Dura, good evening to you in a very special way. He knows this brother is one of my icons. That is Mr. Martin Little, call him. But by any means necessary, that was one of his favorite quotes. And so with him sometime, remembering his life and times, remembering his contributions to the black people as a whole, then Malcolm X, I can tell you, is one of my favorite persons indeed, in terms of just that inspiration that I need to move on. Just before I move across, though, let me say good evening to this brother. Let me see if I remember his name right about now. Butran, something Butran. I met this brother today somewhere in the Rosewood area. Let me see if I can just get his name. He says he's always tuned in. And we had a very, good enough rapport. What's his name? Trevor. Yes, Trevor Butran. Good evening to you, my brother. You and your lovely folks. I guess you guys are visiting Dominica at this time. All right. But folks, yes, it's a pleasure again and welcome on board. Please share the live. Please share the live information. As I always say, make someone know that we are all having that conversation together. All right. In terms of just trying to knock out certain things before we get into the meat of the conversations, let me just say condolence. Let me just send condolences messages to the family of Mr. Nilton Wade Vidal of Salisbury, a customs officer when he was on this side of life with us. He passed sometime earlier this week. And so to the people of the Salisbury community, his friends, his loved ones, the well-wishers, Brother Vidal, based on information reaching me about this brother, he was a very formidable brother, but you know how life is. When our number is called, we have to go. And so to the grieving family of Brother Vidal at this time, I just want to thank him for his contribution to Dominica by and large, especially to those of his friends at the customs in Funkole right there, Woodbridge Bay. I know you guys are missing this brother at this time. Very cool, very calm, very collective, kind brother indeed. But the good Lord chose to call him home at this time. All right. Sometimes we question why, but the real issue, the real situation is just a matter of taking example and putting ourselves in line, putting ourselves in order, as it were, so that when that number of ours is called, we will be really and truly prepared. All right. So again, Nilton Vidal, wherever you are this time, my brother, I know that you're looking down upon us and everything good you'd want for your country, Dominica. Thank you. Folks, again, we heard this week, as I said, I'm just going to knock out some matters very quick here. We heard sometime this week of an alleged robbery. It was said in the Portsmouth area where the National Bank was concerned or is concerned. And based on me just following up on that story in the week so that I could bring you some factual information, we didn't hear much about it in terms of after the news came to light. But I did some, investigative work and found out that it may have been someone, a young man, I'm being told, and that's a story that I got from at least 3 different sources, or in and outside of the bank. So, it was probably a high probability that one young man came into that bank during the course of the day, sometime this week, asked to use the washroom, I'm being told, and for some reason he never came out of that washroom. And the person or persons who let him into that washroom to use the washroom then took notice that this brother did not go out. And so the story goes by that brother, most likely he may have slept in that bank, in the roof, in the ceiling area of that bank, and in the night or in the wee hours of that morning came down from his hiding hole and basically did some damage to the bank in terms of some of the equipments. And I am presuming now, based on what was reported, all in the quest of looking or trying to get some cash. When the security persons came into the bank that morning, I've been told, and when they saw the mess that was all over in the place, then they alerted the police, and so the police came and surrounded the building, and believing that whoever it is was still inside of that property, inside of the bank. But that person or persons, because we still don't know for factors yet, how many, but most likely maybe one, I'm being told, left the bank earlier. And so the police were there waiting outside thinking, well, you know, they may have caught that person inside. But a thorough search of the bank proved that this brother or persons had since left, leaving behind, of course, a trail of quote-unquote damage. An attempt was made by the vault area, but obviously these vault areas in these banks, they are very, very secure, and so you'd have to come even very more prepared to get to the vault area where it is believed that some of the cash are stored or are held, or secured rather, in the bank. All right. So that is what I got on the ground as it pertains to that very situation. Folks are still trying to unravel the pieces as to, you know, how this thing was left to unfold. But it would be a very, very daunting task for whoever it is or whoever it was to get to that vault area, because that area is very secure based on what I can tell you, based on reporting. The doors and the locking system to that vault is very, very secure. I'm being told about 4 to 6 locks, about 6 to 8 inches long, pinning through, you know, the other bar or the other part of the metal frame, with codes and whatever it is to get in there. The door itself is like 8 to 10 inches thick. Sometimes not even one person that can close that door. So, you know, it's very, very secure. And so what started out bad ended out being a not so bad situation in terms of the cash. But that doesn't mean, people, that the banking people and, you know, we in Dominica by extension, we're not supposed to take the necessary precautions. All right. And so I haven't heard any arrests been made as yet, so we wait with bated breath to, you know, try to see if an arrest, a couple of arrests will be made in that matter. Obviously, when things like that occur in Dominica, you will be hearing a lot of speculations, a lot of, you know, talk. And so out of that situation, a lot of talk came as well. But as to the other parts of the talk, then I need not go into that. All right. There's another issue as well that unfolded sometime this week. We saw some messages, some memos going around social media saying that suggesting that one local radio station here in Dominica was searched. A search was done at the Marcelin Edwards. Are there any cameras inside the bank? Well, yes, Marcelin, there are cameras inside the bank, and as I indicated earlier, in terms of some of the trail of damage left behind, some of those cameras were damaged in the process, I'm being told. All right, and I'll leave it there for now. There's a little more to go into it, but, you know, as I said, it is this information, they are not confirmed information as yet. So I don't like to take information from one source and preach it as gospel, you know. But for a fact, some of the cameras inside of the bank, they were damaged. All right. But yes, let's get back to the other story in terms of where one media house in Dominica, we were told that a search was done by the customs at that local radio station. As to why that search, it is still kind of sketchy. The details are still sketchy as to the why. I'm hearing some of the whys, but I will not push that out as yet as the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But the fact remains, a search was conducted at that local radio station, What I can tell you in terms of another factual piece of information is that the government of the day, out of that search came information, the government of the day is owing that radio station tons of money. Yeah, tons of money, I'm being told. And so whether that factual situation and the reality of the place being searched by customs or whatever it is, whether there were any correlation to that, that is still ongoing to piece it together. But yours truly is still trying to find out as to just why that search was conducted, what was being looked for by the customs people, and try to piece it together in terms of much more factual information. All right, but that is where I want to leave that for now. But the fact remains that that business, that media house, was searched for some reason or another. All right. Finally, folks, in terms of knocking out some stuff here, and I guess you as well, so meaning we would want to congratulate Miss Thea Lafont. We heard and we saw Miss Thea Lafont at work in terms of her record-breaking performance of bringing home gold to us in Dominica as it pertains to her athleticism. And so Miss Lafont, we all love you in Dominica. We all want to congratulate you. And as they say, the sky is the limit. And so you really brought Dominica on that map by your performance. And so we just ask the good Lord above to continue blessing you with that skill, that talent that you got. And you never know. You never know. Because there are lots of opportunities in the world of sports. And so you are right up there, my friend, in terms of, exploit all the possibilities there are. So again, congratulations to you. I must lament on the fact that as well, we have been hearing promises have been made to us in Dominica, especially where sporting facilities are concerned, by the government of the day. But the young people in particular are still waiting in limbo where these facilities are concerned. And so when someone like Miss Lafont would go out there and excel and mention Dominica's name a number of times, I know that is real love for her country, but it is a fact that if it was her to have facilitated Miss Lafont in terms of her practices and whatever it took to be at that high level, then she would not have been there. So whoever is helping, whichever countries is at, and they're helping her coaches, whoever is surrounding her at this time, thank you very, very much as well, people. Okay? So that is it, people, in terms of knocking out some stuff before we get into the meat of things tonight. And tonight I'm not drinking water, I'm drinking coconut water to be precise. All right, so yeah, just that, All right, folks, let us get into it here. It is what, 6:30 already? We're just about there. Dominicans, we are living in a country today that is the Commonwealth of Dominica. And in terms of its Michael Christopher says, well, just congratulate the young lady and move on. Well, Michael Christopher, thank you very much for your comment. But at the end of the day, sir, you will not dictate what I say in my country. All right? And so if you don't like what is being said here, please feel free to move on to another platform. But I normally say it as it is. And so I congratulated the young lady. But as I always do, I always bring the adulterated truth to light. All right? And if you don't like to hear the truth, my bro, please feel free to move on. The facts of the matter remain. The truth of the matter remains, and that is where some of us in Dominica, we get it twisted. We don't like to hear the truth. The good book says the truth normally offends. And so if it is offending you, my brother, I am very sorry, but that it is what it is. We don't have, as we speak in Dominica, the sporting facilities that have been promised times without number to help facilitate the dreams and aspirations of our young people, in particular in Dominica. And so if that, you are offended by that, then as I said, I am very sorry. But that is the truth, the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. All right? Dominica, we are living in a time in this country whereby, in terms of the governance of our country, we are seeing, we are on a trend. All right? And as I said, some folks don't like to hear the truth. But yours truly always speak the truth. And I live in this country. I'm not living in Grenada or Antigua or Barbuda. I'm living in Dominica. And so whatever affects my people positively or negatively, yours truly will bring it out. And so I am saying, as it pertains to the governance of this country, we are on a very slippery slope. We have been on a very slippery slope. And the path on which we are traveling, the trajectory on which we are on, if we as a people don't decide to make that 180-degree turn, then what is unfolding in Haiti today, that will be our fate. There are many parallels with what is going on in Haiti today, or what has gone on in Haiti before, and where we are today in Dominica, people. But we'll get to Haiti's situation in a while. I am saying, where we are today in terms of the governance of our country, I want to continually tie that kind of governance. It is a type of governance that we have not known before. It is new to us in Dominica, whereby our rights are being trampled upon every day in this country. Our rights are being slowly taken away from us in very, very subtle terms. Our rights, Dominicans, if we don't stand for those rights and demand those rights, we exercise those rights, they will be gone away from us in a jiff. And so exactly what goes on today in Russia by the Kremlin and Mr. Putin, we are seeing it unfolding today in our eyes, or before our very eyes, in this Commonwealth of Dominica. And so I took my time this week past, Wednesday it was, and I took some photos in Roseau, that is the capital of the city, whereby police in Dominica, dressed up in military type fatigues, where you only see that kind of dressing on the ground in the war zones across the globe. You hardly see a police dressed in ordinary blue and black anymore. You hardly see that. Well, I hardly see that. And so I am saying, I am prepared to say, it is this sort of subtle deterioration, subtle injection of taking away your rights, my rights, why we are seeing things of that nature is occurring. when you will have, for example, like I counted at least no more than 12, a dozen walkers on Wednesday. And you will have these guys dressed in those kind of fatigues that I mentioned before, with barricades at the ready to basically lock down the city as a result of persons walking in their country and demonstrating their constitutionally protected rights. And so if that situation is not enough to tell you that your rights are slowly but surely being taken away from you, I don't know what will. And it is these situations, people, and more, that we have to clamp down. We have to give voice to these kind of situations so that at least history will record us by standing for country. 12, just 12 people. And even if it was more, it still doesn't matter. Obviously, there has to be law and order in the country. So I am not crying this down. That is not my issue. The police is there to maintain law and order. That's fine. That's excellent. That's their job. That's their duty on behalf of we, the people of Dominica. So that is not my issue. My issue is when persons are prepared to exercise their rights. You have the powers that be, the security apparatus of the state, putting in their way that unnecessary hindrance, as it were. And that is my issue. And if some of you guys are not prepared to talk about it and do about it, that's left to you. But I will. So when you will have an entire city on the ready to be cordoned off, to be sealed off, to be locked off from persons just walking. My power wash gone. It is even responding, it just fell. So even things that don't have flesh and blood and don't have a brain, they are understanding the words that are coming through my mouth. And so you police who are recording, it is a power wash gun, I said, okay? It is a power wash gun, the nozzle. That's what just fell. So don't come here looking and saying, I said my gun fell, my power wash gun fell. Okay, that's it. Let's move on. And so that is how it is done in Russia. Before anybody can decide to congregate, before anybody can decide to stand for their rights, you have the Putin-like regime, the one who rules with this iron fist, like a pharaoh-like leader, is ready to crush. And that is what we are seeing unfolding in Dominica. And I will always, Dominicans, keep speaking about it. Yeah, I'll always keep speaking about it. When you have persons in Dominica or who live outside of Dominica, from Dominica, are being threatened when they come home, what will be done to them? That is the situation that is unfolding in Russia. Brother Navalny died and his wife was very fearful, could not come to Russia to lay her husband's remains to rest. We heard brother, what's his name, Malon, came to Dominica 3-4 weeks, a month back there about, and he was on a live or whatever he said, basically saying that some police officer asked him to come in for some crap. And that is the how you call it, the baby steps to dictatorships. That is how dictatorships are birthed. And if we don't do something about our country, if we don't do something about our country people, then we will be right there. We will be right there. That's what it is. We are right here already. I am being told from the grapevine, as a result of this investigation with Brian and Marigot and this group, some persons are on a list whenever they touch foot in Dominica to be investigated as well. On what? On some paranoia charge or some paranoia investigation. And that we say in people, it is the baby steps of creating a monster. And that's what it is. And that's what I have to call it for what it is. And so we have to, as a people, stamp it out. We have to eliminate this kind of dictatorial tendencies. That is not in our nature. That is not how we grew up, people. And we have to do what we have to do. So unless and until I see something different in terms of the governance of my country, then I will always tie my or that kind of government or that kind of governance to the dictatorships around the globe. The Maduros and the Kim Jong-un and the Putins and the Idi Amins and the Gaddafis and the strong men around the globe. And just on a side note, as I said, strong men. Do you know, have you realized, people, I don't know if it's because of their makeup, have you realized men are much more averse to being brutal to their people in terms of leaders than women? A thought just came to mind. So Dominicans, we must continue to remain resolute. Don't give up hope. Our country is ours, and our country we have to protect at all costs. And so these wannabe dictators, these persons who want to take away your rights and my rights, we have to stand up with them. We are much more in numbers than them. Politicians come, politicians go. The country, we are here to stay. Party come, party go. Don't be so blinded by partisan politics in this country, people. Don't. So yes, the country in which we are living today, it is on a road where Putin and his people was some years back. And so we are right there. Yeah? Good. Before I take some more calls, we go into another very interesting conversation in a while. Before I take not calls, sorry, before I go to some messages here, let me just alert you of what we'll be doing next. Let me just get to that live feed. I'm seeing my brother Thaddeus Joseph is on as well. So brother Tad, good evening to you for keeping the flame alive. That is what more of us have to come to do, people. All right. Let me see if I can get some of your comments before we move on here. Ron Joseph says, Davidson Valerie, George Teofield, Reuben Blackman, others are to be on a list. And Brother Ron Joseph, what you said there in terms of your comment, that is not my comment in terms of these guys being eliminated. So that is your comment, all right? I am in no way, shape, or form asking for anybody to be eliminated. I am just asking for truth, righteousness, and justice to run through my country as a mighty stream. Let me see here. We says October's variant says we're not personalizing stuff here. Let me see. What is happening here now? Something is not connecting. Caroline Camberland says the foreign nationals been murdered, get not justice. What is the hope for local women facing domestic violence? Well, you're on another plane there. Guided Delu says not scared. Those people love the money some getting. They don't care about country. All right. So the fact remains, Dominicans, that we have to stand in the gap for our country. We have to. And yours truly, I have other stuff to do on a Saturday. I have other stuff to do on Sundays. But the need is so urgent that I make time off. I prioritize my time to come and help in the process of helping eradicate what is bad from our country by me and us speaking. We're having a conversation. That is how important it is to me. From an international front, Dominicans, we have to go. From an international front now. Friday, that was yesterday. It marked 10 years that a plane, gone missing when it was in full flight from Malaysia to China. And I'm talking about that mysterious disappearance of flight MH370 in 2014, March of that year, 8th of March to be precise. That plane just vanished. And from since then, it has been really a roller coaster ride as it pertains to the whereabouts of that plane. And so I just thought in part of the conversation today, I will bring you back there 10 years on. If you guys have been following that story, lots have been said, there have been lots of speculation, but as to the factual nature of the disappearance of that plane, then not much have been forthcoming. But there is still hope that the Malaysian government will assist in terms of reopening that investigation that they shut down 3 years after, because nothing was coming their way in terms of the location and possible site of that plane. And that is a very good story to follow, people, because it tells you how in this day of modern, as we say, technology, a plane, a very big one, a Boeing 777, can just disappear in thin air before the eyes and technology of the world. As to who or what did what they did, then your guess is still as good as mine. I'm not prepared to make any judgment on that matter. But trust me, some things just don't add up when you try to piece that story together based on the known facts. And some of the known facts are, for example, that plane left that airport in Kuala Lumpur about 1:10 in the morning, well, about 12:40 in the morning, and everything was okay up to that point about 1:19 when that pilot basically gave his last goodbye. So when he left Malaysian airspace, going into Vietnam airspace, that was where, right there, between there, that was where things just went topsy-turvy. The route to Beijing was entered in that plane computer, and basically everything was set on course to reach in China about 6:30 that morning. But for some strange reason, everything just went haywire. Instead of that plane staying on course, there was this quote-unquote like 180-degree turn, and from there it just vanished. And if you have been following that story, which is very interesting of a story, everything that could go wrong went wrong at the right time, if you understand that lingo. And so just using the gray matter that is up there, it let me lead to making certain conclusions. By everything that could go wrong went wrong at the right time in terms of that plane. 10 years on, nobody can really factually give account for 239 people on board that plane. And so number of families, they're still grieving, because it is one thing, people, for your family member to die. It is one thing for a family member to pass. Even in a scenario like that where a plane supposedly crashed, but at least closure is needed. At least the site where it went down or whatever happened, some sort of closure is needed to sort of let the grieving families at least be a little more peaceful with themselves where their relatives are concerned. And so Dominicans, we have to, as well, be hopeful that maybe with this company in America interested in going back out there, that is Ocean Infinity, it is said, they are an American-based company that is willing to go back out there to, after 10 years, to do some research, so that at least some closure can be brought about. All right? So I just thought I would just plug that into your memory, because I know sometimes, things like that just slip our memory. Haiti, Dominica. Let's go to Haiti. And what is unfolding there? Haiti is part of our region, the basin in which we live. And we have always known Haiti since growing up to be a country of political, economical, social, whatever it is, turbulence. We have always known that country to be. And it will take an understanding of the history, the historical aspect of Haiti and the Haitian people to grasp better or get a better understanding as to what Haiti went through and is still going through today as a country. And so let me give thanks, many thanks, to a man like Mr. Simeon Joseph, who eloquently tried his best with the limited time that he had to sort of put in perspective for us some of what is unfolding today in Haiti. But there's much more that can be said about why Haiti as a country is where it's at today. And so that is why I always keep saying, when things like that happen to other countries, we in Dominica, we must live by those people's experience. We have to learn from those people's experience. And don't be so short-sighted by, oh, it's happening in Haiti, it can happen to us. Oh, it is happening over there, it cannot happen here. No. the globe, the community in which we live today, it is said we are one global village. And trust me, what happens over there, it has the potential to really show up its ugly head here. And that's what it is. And so Haiti, through their type of governance that the Haitian people, some of them by and large, have allowed over the years, Haiti is where it's at today because of their type of governance. And the funny thing about governance like that, it is primarily not the leaders that, when they put their country in positions like that, it is not they that go through the suffering. It is the unsuspecting people, the ordinary man and woman of these countries that go through these situations that they have set up for the people. It is the kind of countries that these leaders make for their citizenry. And now the citizenry, they are going through the process today. Dorothy Regis is saying very something there. There's a phrase that says, let Kamawa, let Bab Kamawa do Gwili. She missed out something. Pour glow if you use this out. Meaning when your neighbor's beard is on fire, when your neighbor's house is on fire, take water and wet yours. That's the literal translation. And it is not just enough to sit aside and criticize. Sit aside in a sort of semblance of comfort and say, no, it will not happen to me. It can happen to us. And so where Haiti is at today, people, we have to, as a country, Dominica, as other countries in the region, pay particular attention. It is our same black brothers and sisters going through what they're going through today. And it is we, same black people, sometimes that have this myopic or this kind of warped kind of thinking about politics, politicians, and the partisan nature of it that gets us in this kind of predicament. And so if something is right, it is right. It doesn't matter who does it. If something is wrong, it's supposed to suffer the same fate. But when some folks are so blind, politically speaking, that they tend to see things from one perspective because of who does it and castigates another, we are not on a good track. We are not on a good track. Camberlin, I saw you pushing something there tonight from the early as we start. And you basically suggesting that I should try to get the news where it matters. What I can tell you, Camberlin, you see these programs that we do here every Saturday and every Sunday, it goes much further than your brain can imagine. And so the amount of calls sometimes that I get because of these kind of conversations with us, I am surprisingly surprised. And so with technology, nothing is hidden. Everything is wide open. But I understand the context in which you're speaking, and I'm not a person that like to blow my whistles. So you'll not hear me come in and say sometimes who I talk to, who I'm in discussion with. No, everything I put in perspective. But rest assured, the news from Dominica is going out. You can bank on that. You can take that to NBD tomorrow morning or Monday morning, and you will get cash for it. Just before I came on here, just an example, I reached out to a police officer in the, an ex-police officer, sorry, to be precise, worked at Scotland Yard. And I asked him to just, if he can speak to me sometime this week coming, to put in perspective for me how they do it, or how it is done, the customary in terms of protocols, when someone is being deported from the United Kingdom. And so we will be having that discussion sometime this week. So most likely, I will either be getting a recording from him to bring to you, or he may be live here with us sometime, to give you guys an idea what goes on out there and juxtapose that to what we are going through in our country. And that brings me now to the point that, hey, this brother and his family was deported back to America, and you know the confusion that ensued there. So trust me, I'm Cumberland. The news, they're going out, and I'm not one, as I said, to blow my whistles, but I am connected enough. Trust me. And on that note, I want to say thank you to social media, because in the 1960s and 70s and before, conversations like these were not going out as I would like it. See, as we speak here now, people in Timbuktu, that is a little area in Africa, if they're so interested in listening to what is happening in Dominica, they have the opportunity by the click of a button. And that's what it is. So don't never underestimate the power of what we do here every Saturday and Sunday in terms of information. Don't estimate it. We are much more connected than some persons think. Yeah, much more. So, to get back to the Haiti situation, it is sad. And so as we speak, there are a number of calls from CARICOM and all over now for this brother, this president, to relinquish his position. But like some people who have power, he is not ready to relinquish it. He is not ready. And so it depends now on who you speak to based on the political side that they settle on. Some will say you need to go, some will say you need to stay. But at the end of the day, the country suffers, the citizenry, they're suffering. And it's that I'm saying, you so wonder what Timbuktu is. Yeah, Timbuktu is a real place. Some persons just use it and it as a figurative of speech, as a figurative language when they speak. But Timbuktu, if you look, it is a real place in the uttermost parts of Africa. Go look up these people and their lifestyle, and you'll understand these kind of people, how they live. Yeah. So just to wrap up that conversation, people Haiti. There are many lessons, many lessons, people, we can learn from our Haitian brothers and sisters. Many lessons, countless lessons. And that is why we need to take stock of where our country is at. We need to do things in order to not to let our country descend in that kind of riotous and anarchy and robust kind of political turmoil. We have to, people. We have to. And that's why I stress every day, you and I, we need to play our part. We have to play our part. So we cannot just be bystanders, just looking at everything and say, oh, it doesn't affect me. No, it has the potential to affect you. So you have to be ready to join your efforts to defend your land, as it were. The same way we defended our land before our ancestors did from the colonizers, they call them, the invaders, the persons who wanted to, take us for a ride. And by stealing our resources, by exploiting us as a people, we have to do the same thing today. That is what it is. And so it is said now, before it was the white-collared people, the cooler white people that were doing that from Europe and other countries. But today, sadly so, the tables have turned and it is our same melanin toned brothers and sisters that are doing that to us today. So it is the dictatorship tendencies in Dominica. It is the dictatorship tendencies in Venezuela. It is the dictatorships across the globe that we have to be prepared as a country, as a people, to defend it. Just like our Kalinago brothers did and sisters did, defended Dominica so that we could be here today enjoying our country. We have to be prepared today to defend our country from people like Roosevelt and others who wants to bring us back into those days. Because left alone, that is where we are heading. And so when Roosevelt will come and say, by the stroke of a pen, he can remove the, the elderly care program and the NEP program and the this and the pro. No, you are basically putting people under extra duress that is unnecessary. Everybody as a citizen of this country, they have to eat. We have to live. And so by trying to intimidate these people, by forcing them into a position, backing them into a position, that is a very subtle level of where we were before. Always having us as a people as second and third graders in our country. No, we are Dominicans and we have to prepare to defend our country. And so if it is Roosevelt today, if it is Joe Blow tomorrow, we have to have that same aptitude so that our country can be high up there in terms of its altitude. And some of you may say, I don't like Roosevelt's character. You know what I don't like? He is in the seat. He and his bunch, they are in the seat, and they're bringing my country down a very slippery slope. And so that is why the pot shots must be taken at him and his rogue regime. And so if anybody else come there and they are doing similar or even worse, trust me, the pot shots will be intensified as well. And so it's not a matter of love or hate. There's nothing that love or hate about a man. You have to love and hate your country in terms of what is happening. You have to love what is good and hate what is bad. And so whoever that is the vehicle that is bringing our country there, whoever is the conduit that bringing our country there, trust me, these people have to be the targets. And so it is sadly day. And that's what it is. Yeah? Just going through some of your comments there. Somebody made a comment about be prepared to defend our country through some spiritual endeavors as well. Yes. Every effort has to be on the table. All stone has to be unturned. So whoever can pray, pray. But whoever that can fight, we have to fight. That's what it is. Everything must be on the table. And that is why we have a people, called a population, called a nation, Because every one of us, we are bestowed with different talents, we are bestowed with different gifts. And all of these things coming together in one pot, as it were, to make a potpourri. That is what will see us home. That is what will see us home. And so when you have a man who is in office today and is just talking, giving lip service to the process that's supposed to elect him and others, just talking, just blowing hot air, but is not prepared to facilitate the process in effective ways, we have to stand against that and ensure that it happens. Roosevelt Skerritt and his bunch should not be made to stand against an entire country. No way. We are more in numbers than them, and so the strength is on our side. But it is we that have to exercise our strength to ensure that what we want as a people, that is what we will get. Nothing less, nothing more. And so that constant pushback, that constant derailing, that constant stalling of the process that we call in Dominica electoral reform, which to me doesn't make much sense now, but that is the term you guys give it. I want to keep it a little more simple. It's just a process. Just make that process a freer, fairer, and transparent process. That's all. That's all it is. Just make that process a little freer, fairer, and more transparent. That's all. And then you can call it whatever you want, but the process is done. Again, I reached out to I will be reaching out to the people in Antigua. I'll be reaching out to them to see if I can get at least, who is calling me on that number at this time? Persons, please, if you're trying to reach me on this number, please, that is not the time to reach me. Please, 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 all right? That is not the time to reach me on that particular number that you're reaching me, all right? Thank you very much for your understanding. I'll call you back. Yes, where was I? Yes, I'll be reaching out to the persons in Antigua because we heard news coming out this week that they are talking about another, that's a critical word, another re-registration drive to help clean up their mess. Mr. Cleville Mills, is not the time to call me, sir. Please, I am not entertaining any calls tonight, especially from you, because I know what you want to call me to do now is to twist up my lines, okay? Please. Good. Now is not the time to call for that. If you want to call Mr. Mills, call tomorrow on the Civic Vice program. I am not entertaining any calls tonight, especially from somebody like you, because I know persons like you, these detractors, that's what you do. You stay in a corner like a squeaky mouse and listen and always try to come to counteract the truth, the facts of the matter. But not tonight, my brother. We are on track and we are heading on. Our country deserves our unreserved attention now, and that is where it's at. That is our focus. Now is not the time to call me, please. We have a Civic Vibes program tomorrow where Rosie Felix will be the guest for tomorrow's program. Again, talking about the exact topic that I'm discussing now. Please feel free to call me tomorrow there. That's why we have the calling lines open. Okay? So if you cannot take what you're hearing now, go on Cairo FM. That is where you just spew your quote-unquote garbage. Go there and spew it. Not here. So I was saying, I'll be reaching out to these people in Antigua where There's talk about cleaning up the process again. The list. The list is like the holy grail of an electoral process. It's like the holy grail. Once that list is contaminated, everything falls flat thereafter. Because there should be only one true Loftus Durand. There may be other Loftus Durands, but that person you're looking at, there's only one of me. And so if that one Loftus Durand cannot be properly and factually identified when he goes to cast a vote, that process is flawed. That process is flawed. And so we have been on that, should I say road, that old rugged road, freer and fairer and more transparent elections for some time now. And Roosevelt Skerritt opened his mouth times without number and said he would be facilitating the process. That's what he said. So if as Prime Minister of this country, your word or words cannot be taken as gospel, it means nothing. We are in March of this year, and you said after your sham that you had in 2022, where you hijacked the process by aborting the process midway, something you gave Byron and whatever people to do, and just convoluted the whole process. And when you realized the hammer was going to drop, you stepped in and aborted the process, and we are where we are still. And still had the audacity, the unmitigated gall, the guts to come and tell people, quarter of this year, come hell high water, we need to get that past us. Where is that? Where is that? And you have a toothless commission. That's what I'll call them, a toothless organization called an electoral commission, where Duncan's toe is the head. And nothing, absolutely nothing is happening there. Nothing. When the laws gives Duncan's toe and his men the authority in the interim to do certain things to help. But these guys are sitting there as lame dogs. Lions without teeth, tigers without teeth. And they're doing nothing. And I well remember Duncan's two words where he said, when he picked up the position of chair of that organization after Burton's, oh, he's just getting his feet wet. I want to know, Mr. Duncan's toe, isn't your both feet sufficiently wet as yet? You need to come and explain to the Dominican public. Why is that commission you are in charge of? It is so clueless. It is so toothless where Dominica electoral machinery is concerned. To me, you guys have just blown it. When I thought Gerald Burton was bad, I really thought the brother was bad. But at least give Gerald Burton that he had some kind of a hijack process at the electoral, not the electoral, the parish hall, where discussion was held on the guns and battlefield weapons. But at least he tried. He had some kind of consultation before he left the scene, where we remember the police came in their camouflage and all kind of foolishness, just trying to intimidate people into getting their things right. But at least Burton tried. I thought Burton was bad. I was giving Burton pressure. But to me, Duncan still has done nothing, absolutely nothing, with that team he has there. to push the agenda of a better Dominica where election is concerned. And so when the history of this country is read like it has been written now, Duncan's toe and the upholders of that treachery, you guys, your name will not be entered there and be read about on the right side of history. And I make no bones about it. But there's still time. There's still time to make amends. There's still time, Brother Duncan. There's still time, Mr. Lawrence. There's still time, Mr. Alec and Lennox. There's still time. There's still time. And so we always like to boast ourselves as being first in Dominica, first in the region, first in the world to do this and that. First, everything is first once it suits your what kind of narrative. And even that, it is so WAP, it is still not true. And you know consciously it is not true. So that kind of bogus statement you made about we're the first country to become whatever resilient in the world and blah, 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 blah. That is just power like bush, as they say. That is nonsense. That just has to be shredded, put in a shredder and just burnt. These words. Because we know in Dominica, we are nowhere close to that resiliency that we need to be, or we need it to be. But we are, when I say we, the government of the day, they are happy, they are contented to be last in the region, last in the world, to improve the electoral system that is supposed to get people in and out of the position of power. And what do you call that? Anthony Astafan, I'm being told he lives in Antigua and normally calls sometime on a radio station here to inject and infect like a cancer the situation that is unfolding, ongoing. But he lives in Antigua, where the Antiguans, the Antigua government, they are doing and have done a number of stuff to improve their electoral machinery. But he lives over there. Anthony Astafan supposed to take up his telephone the same way he's calling Dominica and spreading garbage. Tell Gaston Brown and the Electoral Commission over there they should take a peek on Dominica's process. Tell them that over there. They should patronize what they're doing over there and tell them in Antigua where you live, my brother. Tell them they should take a page from Dominica's book. If you're a citizen, they might revoke that citizenship for talking that rubbish. But this man is constant. He is on a relentless campaign to ensure that the status quo remains whilst he is enjoying the luxury of another country cleaning up the process, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times and counting. When we are struggling to get it half a time. We are struggling to get it half a time. St. Kitts has left us. St. Lucia has left us. Grenada has left us. Barbados, they say, is a little America in the Caribbean. Guyana had their dispute back and forth, but they have left us. You know, Jamaica is a model for us in our space. You understand? All the countries that are around us, Trinidad is way past us. All the countries, Belize, have left us. in our mess, in our sordid mess. They are laughing at us. We are the laughing stock. Sometimes when I call these people in the region, I ask them about their system and want them to come and give suggestions. These people love the boy making joke, man. You're making joke. How could it be in 2020, whatever? You are telling me your electoral list is more than your population. These people tell me that is a mathematical kind of madness that they cannot understand. Because out of that list, supposed to be babies, supposed to be teenagers, supposed to be persons who cannot vote because of the age. Apart from that list, supposed to be persons who have basically said, you know something, by their own action, I've done it for you. I'm done. I'm done. I am moving to whatever pasture, be it green, brown, or purple. I'm moving to that pasture instead. Stay in you guys' pasture in Dominica and deal with you guys' electoral system. But you guys' name are still on the list. And so that it is bloated, it is congested, it is like a blocked sink just backing up water in your face. And the water is smelling. Anybody will get rid of that in the house. You'd call a plumber immediately. You don't want that. But that is how our electoral system in Dominica stinks. And when these people outside there hear that, they wonder, but what kind of people are Dominicans? What kind of people are these people? They sort of cringe. You can feel their emotions through their words. And so sometimes I'm even embarrassed to call these people and reach out to them to ask them a question or two. I am embarrassed sometimes. Because it's like we are living in the caveman age, the stone man age. Yeah? We are living in the stone man age where anything goes. And our rest of our brothers and sisters are moving ahead, they are forging ahead. No system is perfect. But what we have here, it is rotten to the core. So if you talk to people of St. Lucia, if you talk to people from St. Antigua, if you talk to people, they will tell you there are things that they are looking into to change and make amends and fix and tweak and get it better and get it right. They will tell you that. But when they lay out their blueprint, then you can see that is a work unto perfection. So that the stealing and the bribing and the rigmarole that goes around the stealing of elections in big broad daylight, like we saw in 2019, where our airport was laced with planes, brought in people and actually waited to take back people. That is the kind of highway robbery we are talking about when we talk about elections in Dominica. Not even in these little African tribalistic countries you see those things unfolding. Not even in those countries. So if you ask me, we are worse. And so 2019 general election will be forever etched in my memory until the good Lord calls me home. That to me was a very turning point, a very pivotal turning point in Dominica's history, where a regime, an unrelenting regime, would steal an election in big broad daylight, like the heist that we normally see in movies, where banks and corporations or financial institutions are robbed in big broad daylight with masked men, and the people really cannot do nothing about it. That is what it was in 2019, people. And so the 2022 it was just the icing on the cake. And that icing will continue if we don't, as a people, get together to remove the cancer. Because this government, it is a cancer. And so, like the brother in my back once said, by any means necessary, we have to get rid of this and that cancer. He too, I'm coaching him now, by getting rid of the cancer, it is by any means necessary. And go listen to a documentary by him, where he said, by the ballot or by the bullet. Go listen to him, not me. And that's why I love this brother. I love this brother very, very dearly. A straightforward shooter, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a leg for a leg. When you're dealing with people who are dictatorial in nature, you have to be prepared to stand to them with all your might. And this brother, he epitomizes one of them. Trust me, in my books. Fire for fire. There's no backing down. And the regime that we have in Dominica today, people, if we are not prepared to stand against it, it will crush us. We have seen it, and that is the writing on the wall. That is the writing on the wall that I'm reading, people. If we are not prepared to stand against it, it will crush us. Just like how the Russian people are being crushed every day when they choose to demonstrate their rights. Dominicans, we have to move. 7:30. We heard, well, some of you may not have heard it yet, but I just want to plug in now at least some of the comments from one body representing an organization in Dominica called the Truckers, the Tippers Truckers Association. Thank God for Emily Nansem of Emo News, did an excellent interview, as it were, or recording with the treasurer, I'm being told, Mr. Everson McGlaw of the Tippers Truckers Association. And what I heard today, it's fresh news. It's refreshing news. And so to all you truckers out there, I keep mentioning you guys ever so often, because you guys are a very important cog in the wheel business in Dominica. In the whole scheme of things in Dominica, you are an important cog. And for some reason, you guys have not been able to bring to the fore the full importance of your cog, of your important aspect, the role that you play in Dominica's development. And so what I heard today, it was refreshing. From Everson McGlaw, he represented his truckers. And in a nutshell, he said the time has come. And that is what yours truly have been exposing for many, many years on behalf of the truckers. And so if the time has come, in the words of Mr. Everson McGlaw, let us see now that time in terms of the demonstration of it as to you guys. Let me qualify the action. Active action. Because there's what you call passive action as well. You guys have been sitting on your laurels for too long. Big men, that could be my father and more. Some of you, my uncle and more. My grandfather and more. And you guys have been sleeping at the wheels, as it were. So I heard something today that I want to punch into you guys hearing, that gave me a level of enthusiasm, a level of hope to continue the struggle with my local truckers in Dominica. Let me see if I pull that up, because we will be ending on that in just a while. See if I get this here. Mr. Maglo said basically, it cannot be. How many schools are being constructed and to them is no work? It cannot be. The airport, which is the biggest project, is being constructed, as it said in Dominica now, and they are not part and parcel of that. It cannot be. So, Mr. Maglo, I am giving you your props tonight, but trust me, my brother, I am waiting on you. I'm really banking on you guys to back up your words of action. Here, sometime back, what he said about the formation of that association and the benefits that can be derived. Sorry, there's something playing in the background. There's a music playing in my background. Sorry, people. All right, let me log that off. Yeah. And get back to this brother. Yeah.
To be a go-between companies, to be...
All right, hold on. He made those statements sometime back when the association has been formed, so I just want to punch that in your hearing before we get to what he really said today.
The association was formed basically to be a go-between companies, to be a source of strength for the membership, to be able to carry the weaker along with the stronger, yes, I mean, that kind of thing, to create a level playing field for the truckers. Like every other thing, you know that there are people with different abilities, better abilities, so we try to put all of them, to harness all of them together to make a stronger unit. And that's why the association was formed back then by fellas like Alpha Shilling Ford and Rekka, the loader, I think Raphael, I think his name, Honey, and those fellas that put the association together. I have to be frank about the matter, is that politics affect everything. It has affected everything, and we have a sad method of politics in Dominica. And the truckers is not immune to the divides of the politics that go on in Dominica. But to say much, we are still united because we have a common ground.
All right, folks, that was the voice of the Truckers Association, that is Mr. Everson Maglo, sometime back, as the reason why the association was formed. All right, let me get back now to the statement that I really want to let you hear before I leave you tonight, as it pertains to his speaking on behalf of his association, where the constant plight is about work in the country that is being done, and they as truckers, they as heavy equipment operators, they have been left out. All right, so let's go, Mr. Maglo. That statement is about 20-something minutes long, but I will start it at about, midway, because I think midway, it's the gist of the conversation. All right, so I'll start it around midway. Yeah.
Sometime next week we'll meet. When next week comes, he said to us, he don't want to meet with us without the CEO. Remember, I told you the CEO told us that it was the contractor and the developer. Now Carl is telling us that he don't want to meet with us without the developer, without the CEO, and the CEO is out of state. Gentlemen, you see what's happening? It can't be that we have become so insignificant that a whole $1 billion project is running with our money and we cannot guarantee 10 trucks working. Gentlemen, that effort will make a difference in the economy, make a difference for our families. You can imagine an airport building and the bank has not one new portfolio in equipment or trucking or anything regarding to the construction of the airport. And I know it is hard for some of us to really see the project going on and we're not involved. It's hard for us to understand that some fellas are sitting and they have, although they have land, they have cash, they have resources that they can invest. They know how to pack their trucks and work for the Chinese. Who does that? And to me, I feel now that the government has no real interest. It's either they are unable, they are unwilling, or somebody is benefiting from our sorrows, that we cannot get nothing to really sit to say, well, gentlemen, this is when you're going to go to work. This is what we expect from you. We are waiting. I know, I believe by next week, so we should have a meeting with God. But in the meantime, we see what's happening. We seem to be getting some kind of NEP employment. That the nothing sustainable, nothing sustainable, nothing permanent on the airport. That now and then they give easy construction to carry one to material, to supply one to material, and they call us. When they stop it busy, they stop us. Because we all know that is it now getting to supply tariffs? No, because the amount of overburden the Chinese have to cut on the next side, that they need the flow of tariffs still, so they're taking from easy construction. What is that? How can we not fit in the puzzle of the building of the airport? Should we just sit down and wait for the airport to appear? And at the end of the exercise, we not being part of it? The largest project being undertaken in the Caribbean, and nobody in the country has the opportunity to make a significant financial benefit from the project? Does that make sense? And I'm saying, gentlemen, there's a pattern that we have been left out in every national infrastructural development. Gentlemen, an infrastructural development by a government has to trickle down to the last set of persons in the country, and that's how those construction make benefits. See what happened? A simple cut and grab asphalt and for the extension of the airport was given to the Belgians. They left owing us money. They left owing us hundreds of thousands of dollars in recent time. And it's a struggle to get these monies. But they've gone in the sunset to Guyana while we struggle. Nobody seems to want to give a commitment to locals to work in their own country. We have 7 schools being built. No local equipment man has gotten an opportunity to say, well, they will make a decent dollar, because the Chinese come, they have everything. See Goodwill School. The excavation of the Goodwill School foundation was done. Not one person got something out of it. Yeah, we'll say it is funded by the Chinese, so then we cannot get this funded by the Chinese. What about the airport? What about the airport that's funding for our money? And I'm saying, why are we going to sit down and watch that airport build, and we can't go to work every day, have at least 10 trucks rotating to go to work every day? How does that make economical sense when we contribute so much to the economy when we are at work? And for those of us who don't recognize, the economy is fading out. The cash is not circulating. And I'm trying to understand why and what is happening that causes us to be so much on the back burner. Look at the reality, gentlemen. Investment is made based on opportunity and financing. When we requested that information from the government to tell us where our capacity is going to be needed, what you want us to do, we have already had discussions. We were looking at 20 trucks within 5 years, under 5 years. We're looking at financing arrangements, but we have nothing that we can continue to make fellas' life better and to improve the industry, that nobody will have a chance to say, well, hey, we don't have it, so we have to bring it in. We bring in dumb trucks to do with Dominica Strong. They pick up the millions and they run. And the same thing is happening to us. The Chinese don't spend money in bars. They don't spend money in shops. They don't buy tires locally by Desabe. They don't buy by MNC and by Aaron's, by Auto Trade. They don't buy by Detroit. They don't buy locally unless their backs are against the wall. And in the next container, they have what they need. How do you grow an economy like that? How? How do we grow an economy like that when we cannot get sustainable employment with our own money? We have the opportunity with public works, and I lament I will lament the dismantle of public works on a daily basis, because I am one of those beneficiaries of public works who, when I came into the industry, had a good income stream from public works. But public works have been hanging by a thread. When the opportunity for the tariff rate in Pokase was taken away from them and given to the contractor, public works had a monopoly. The contractual agreement with the World Bank said the tariffs will come from Pokase tariff rate, and they took the tariff rate and they give it to Galakan. And public works is there handing for campaign workers. A multi-million-dollar project where public works could be equipped and execute. And I'm saying, gentlemen, we are following the same trend of public works, that the life support that we have, our income generation, is being cut from us. The opportunity for us to make $1 in our own country, I think, is unfair. And we Dominican truckers have to decide what we want. If that's how we want it, so be it. But I know we don't want it so. I know we deserve better. I know the economy deserves better. We contribute to the economy significantly. Every $500 of fuel we buy, which we spend on a daily basis, we contribute in fuel tax about $100. Every tire we buy, which is averagely more than 4 tires that are of our ordinary car, we contribute over almost $200 in fact. And I'm saying, how comes we can't be considered? How comes we have to be begging with our money, with World Bank money, with any foreign donor? Why do we still have to be suffering? And I'm saying, gentlemen, it's time we decide what we want. It's time we decide to take action, an impactful action that will change our course of our life. It's time we unite together around an ideology of employment, empowerment, and we hold those accountable for our sustainable employment, responsible for the inaction and the demise of the economy. I'm not sure what you decide to do individually. Some of us might decide, boy, we're going to carry the tariff there, when it stop, it stop. And I can't blame you for that. Because at the end of the exercise, when water more than flour, you see what happening? I can't settle my mind over the fact that we have a government and the government will watch fellas work for nothing, and at the end of the exercise still agree that they should do it. Fellas was claiming the airport site for $1,000, and the ministry know that those fellas was 600% lower than the actual value, and they don't step into they don't step in. And I'm saying we now have to step out for our rights to survive. Where we live, we need to survive where we live. to survive where we live. And we don't need to only survive, we need to strive so we can leave something for the next generation. I have children. Many of us do. And I'm asking, how do we see ourselves in the next 2 years? If the trajectory we are on now continues, we will be doomed in the next year. Gentlemen, I think the time has come. And I believe if by next week, Wednesday, we cannot get some word, I think the time has come. That's my opinion. I think the president shared the same view. We need to stand up and guarantee our employment. The airport can't be working and we have the on and off. Because you want to get by easy construction, you tell us come and off and on and off. We should be able to have a few trucks working there sustainably, being rotated sustainably. We should be able to have a few trucks doing that. I'm saying be prepared, fellas. No one should stand in their own lane and expect to do nothing and expect predators to do nothing. The predators are doing something. They are taking the opportunity that we have to be part of our pride of building our nation, and we must protect ourselves.
Is a cut above the rest. Is he going to lead Argentina?
All right, so my people, thank you very much for your attention span, for remaining focused while Brother Maglo was speaking. Some notes I took from his very motivating, I must say, very inspiring, refreshing talk this time around, that they're ready. The time has come, as it were, for them to not just be surviving, but striving. And so, Brother Maglo, I want to thank you for speaking your mind on behalf of your truckers, on behalf of your guys. I hope, as one said on the live feed a while ago, Jan Joseph to be precise, she said she hoped that this time it will not be another picnic situation or picnic-like situation under the Canefield Cliff like we saw before. You guys are suffering. You guys have what it takes to end your suffering. And so we wait with bated breath to see the outcome of your discussion today, where you told us about your plight and you want things to improve, not just for yourself, but for your families and for Dominicans by extension. All right? So at least I want to applaud you, my brother, again, for having what it takes to speak to your situation. Because yours truly, I cannot speak to your situation. I can only help. You see what I did tonight? I could only help your voice project or go further. But the active action that I spoke of, it must boil back on you guys. I don't have to tell you what to do. You know exactly what to do. If you want results in your favor, you have what it takes to get the necessary result. Please use it very, very effectively. Let me just take some comments, Dominicans, and one more point I want to touch on in 8 minutes time before we wrap up, and we will be leaving your space in just a bit. Talifa Charles says, where can I find the entire statement of Mr. Maglo? Talifa, you need to go to Emo News. All right, Emo News should have that statement there because it's from her feed. I got it. I gave her credit in that regard before. All right. And again, I want to thank Emo. Emo is a very hard-working, diligent, and supportive as well young lady in Dominica. Whenever I call on Emo for something, in a flash, I get the assistance. All right, and vice versa. So Emo, thank you very much. James Camp says the truckers should join the resistance. They are scareds. I don't want to say what you say there, my brother. Let us support our truckers as we are moving on. Coulson says here, they have no action behind their words that coming out from their mouth. Well, Coulson, let us see if that situation will just be words this time around. All right? But let us not throw cold water on these brothers' words, but come help push their agenda as we move forward, which is also our agenda. Fanila says, I am there listening with a pin. Fanila's freaking out. Fanila says she's there listening to the conversation with a pin, pricking my tongue. That's how I fed up listening to people just talking. Vanilla, I understand and agree with you, but let us hope, as we said, that at least some action will be taken in that regard. Griffo Daniel, right? That was powerful. Put action into the talk now. Marcelin Edwards says, now is the time the resistance to sit down with the truckers and plan the stepping out to fight for our rights together. This should not be isolated standing up. The numbers at the arch should join the truckers. Immersia, my dear friend Vigil says, paint the painting house. The lab writes, Immersia, thank you very much for your comment. Brother Dave Bertrand writes here, for how many years now the truckers have been saying and doing nothing? Well, again, Brother Bertrand, let's hope that this time around some action goes into their talking. All right. John Alfred writes here, yes, thanks Mo, I'm able to see the lies and expose them. Alifia Dishan writes, it's about time Dominican stand up. And the comments here are, as the funeral announcements normally says, too numerous to mention. Well, we're waiting to see. Petra Carbon George, good evening to you as well. Dominicans, what I want to wrap up with tonight is a situation that unfolded in Dominica, where Mr. Jason Grog and his family got deported out of Dominica. Was it Thursday of this week? Yeah. We heard from Mr. Grog himself as to some of the situation that unfolded and so what went on before. He had in that case, customs brought a case against him, and that matter was in the court, and the list goes on and on and on. But it came to a head Thursday morning in the wee hours of the morning, 5 o'clock thereabout. He said some members of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, which I know equates them to the Totomakut of the Dominica Labour Party, they went at this brother's home and basically searched his home and deported him, or had him deported out of Dominica. The narrative that I want to draw here in parallel is that we well remember that case of Mr. Chenobai Mehul Choksi, whereby he too suffered a similar fate, being brought to Dominica against his will, and it was said by him they wanted to take him out of the country again against his will and send him back, in that case deport him to India to face charges in his name of whatever it was in India, or whatever it is, because these charges still stand based on what I know. What I can tell you as well in terms of an update of that matter is that the case of Mr. Choksi, it was entered into the court system in Antigua, where a number of persons are named as being accomplices in that matter, but the court system in Antigua, just like Dominica, the wheels there turns very, very slowly. But that matter is in the court, and Mr. Choksi is hoping that one day he will have his day, whereby a number of persons, including some persons from Dominica, will have to answer questions in the name as it relates to he coming to Dominica and the treatment that he received whilst in the custody of the police, or some of the policemen in Dominica. All right? But what I want to say here to us in terms of a comparison now. Mr. Grog said something very critical, and we don't have time to play that statement of Grog. But let me just paraphrase what he said. Grog said when this policeman came at his home, 5 o'clock in the morning, beating down on his door, and basically going through in very dictatorial ways, what they did, there was this rush, this extra rush to do what they were doing then to him and his family. They came under the cover of dark, and as light was approaching, daylight was breaking, then there was this extra rush to get him out of Dominica. And that is the similarity, that is the pattern of behavior that I want you to piece together and understand how these guys operate with the instructions from their masters as it relates to persons and their rights. Similar case with Mr. Mehul Chernobyl Choksi. He said the police and the lead man there was Mr. what's his name, Corbett. Met him at Cabrit's, informed him that he was the acting police commissioner then, and had instructions from Interpol or wherever to pick him up on some warrant. Chucked him in a van, brought him into their custody in Roseau. But then before that happened, Choksi said that there was this move to basically take him out of Dominica. So the final landing place for Choksi was not in the custody of the police in Dominica. That wasn't his final resting place, or his final landing place, sorry. Well, resting place because in the process he could die as well. Because of the bruises and the blows and the batteredness that he went through. He could succumb. So that may have been, or could have been, his final resting place as well, in the holding cells of Dominica. That's how brutal it was, without medical or the adequate medical attention at a point in that whole fiasco. He said there was this rush to get him out of Dominica. After being kidnapped from Antigua, we heard Jason Grog said same thing or similar statement. There was this rush to get him and his family out of Dominica. So where there is smoke, there is fire. It was the plane that was delayed, this executive jet that was delayed, not being on the tarmac at the time, that spared the illegal deportation of Choksi from Dominica. So this time, the police under instructions had their way, in that they had their plane waiting on the tarmac at Melville Hall to hurriedly get Mr. Grog and his family outside of Dominica. You heard Grog said they only gave him a copy of his front of his passport to travel. And so that is why, as I said earlier, with all the discussions we have been hearing on that Grog matter, to me some things are not properly properly investigated or properly fleshed out. There is supposed to be a process. Hear that word properly. A process. Even when deporting somebody or some people. And so the angle I want to take that information now, it is to go through the channel of the process, whether the process was followed by law. That I have not heard that as yet, with all the talking that went on with Mr. Grog. That to me was a critical cog that was missed. So that is why I know lawyers in Dominica, they are very timid, very shy, shaking in their boots. when you reach out to these quote-unquote legal minds for their perspective on things as it pertains to law, they are very shy to speak. And so I reached out of Dominica because England was once our mother country. So the UK must have some kind of a law or law still bearing on how somebody or some people can be deported as per law, not what comes in your mind. So I'll be talking, as I said, to an ex-UK police officer investigator as to how they have done it and continue to do it in the UK, and bring that information across to him. Bring him up to speed with Jason's drug matter and ask him certain questions as to the lawfulness of what went on. I'll also be asking him about the document called the passport. Whether a government have any authority under law to keep one's document, legal document called the passport, when they are being deported. So that and more will be very interesting of a conversation this week with this brother. And hopefully I will try to bring it to you guys in the expose next week Saturday. All right, Dominicans, I think we have gone a little past our time, but that is understandable at times. So I need not say more. I need to just cut that conversation here. Dominicans, thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time. All right. So as I always do, I normally leave us with a track before we go. So please feel free now to give me a track that is on your mind, and we'll be out of here in a jiff. Yeah. But thank you very much. Tomorrow, Dominicans on the Civic Vibes program, we will be engaging a very patriotic sister in the name of Rosie Felix, retired nurse, but Rosie has been on the front line for us for some time, and she will be engaging us in that conversation as we continue to search for something that has eluded us for some time: free, fair, and transparent general election. So please join us then, 6 o'clock tomorrow on the Civic Vibes program. All right. I'm seeing a lot of persons saying Abdullah, Abdullah, Abdullah. So which means Abdullah got the vote, and so we'll be playing King Dice, where he says to Abdullah to bring back our money. All right. All right.